Hey guys, it's Adrian over VHA here, bringing you a new video. So the great folks over at SwitchBot have sent me over a ton of new products and cool stuff to show you guys. As you can kind of see from this picture here behind me, lots of cool stuff. In fact, so much stuff that I'm going to break it up into probably 2, maybe even 3 videos to kind of go over a little bit of several of the products. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right in. All right, so for this particular video, we're going to focus on 3 products. So we're going to be doing it a little bit different than you probably would normally with SwitchBot, utilizing a SwitchBot hub. So for today's video, we're going to be controlling these 3 devices with a NodeMCU, and we're going to be communicating with Home Assistant using MQTT. That NodeMCU will allow us to control these devices locally, which is actually a pretty nice little feature. So the 3 products we're going to look at today from SwitchBot are the motion sensor, the contact sensor, which is great for like doors or windows, and also the SwitchBot temperature/humidity sensor. So we're going to kind of check out all of these. We'll get them communicating with that NodeMCU. We'll get them communicating with Home Assistant as well, and I'll kind of show you what all that looks like. So let's get started.
All right, let's do a quick run through of everything we're going to cover in this video. For starters, we will start with unboxing the devices. Once we do that, then we are ready to add them into the SwitchBot app temporarily because we need to get their Bluetooth MAC addresses as part of our setup. Once we do that, then we will get the NodeMCU all set up and ready to go using the Arduino IDE. After that is done, then we should be able to add them into Home Assistant. Lastly, we will see what that looks like in action. So let's get started. Okay, so here are the 3 devices here that we are working with. For starters, let's look at the motion sensor. Inside the box, you get the instructions. Looks like you get some double stick tape. So depending on how you're going to mount this thing, you also get their magnetic mount as well. So if you haven't seen other SwitchBot devices, there are several different ones that come with this kind of magnetic snap-on mount. So it's pretty cool. Here is the sensor itself. Now this runs on 2 AAA batteries. This thing's pretty lightweight, should be pretty easy to set up. Alright, so next we have the temp humidity sensor here. This is their plus version, so it's a little bit larger screen or display than the other one. We got the instructions in here. There again, also some double stick tape. This is pretty much it as far as what comes inside here other than just the device itself. Now this also runs on AAA batteries as well, but it looks like they're kind of already installed, so I think it has a little tab on the back that you pull when you're ready to power this thing on. So lastly, here is the contact sensor. These are great for, like door or window sensors. See inside the box here, we got the instructions. We got the AAA batteries as well as the double stick tape for mounting it. And that's pretty much it that comes inside this package as well. Let's go ahead and move on to the next step, and we'll kind of go through getting them added into the SwitchBot app. All right, so we need to get the Bluetooth MAC addresses for each of the devices that we're trying to get set up. So there are several ways to do that, but I've kind of decided to just add them into the SwitchBot app, at least temporarily, and then I'll be able to get that Bluetooth MAC address from the settings. So here I am in the SwitchBot app. So we're going to start with adding the contact sensor here. So if we click on Add Device, it should already see it, and there it is. So we can select contact sensor. It wants us to put it in pairing mode, so we will just hold down the button on the front of that contact sensor for a couple seconds, and it should start blinking, which would mean it's in pairing mode. Once we do that, the app picks it up, and of course now we have the opportunity to kind of give it a name if we want. So I'm going to go ahead and call it living room window. Let's see, under select hub, we're just going to skip that. Now you can choose where you're going to use it. So I'm going to say window. We'll say next here, kind of goes through the installation. And bingo, we are done. Next, let's add that temp humidity sensor, kind of known as meter plus. So we'll select that here. As you can see, it already sees it. It's kind of got the same setup. Wants us to hold the button down on the device to put it in pairing mode. And of course, once we do that, we'll hit next. And there we go again. We're ready to put it in the name. So we're going to call it kitchen meter, since that's where it's going. And that's it. Now it's done. So that one's added as well. The last one that we're going to try to add is the motion sensor. So let's do the same thing. As you can see, it already sees it as well. So we're going to select that, and let's see, it wants us to hold down the button on the device to put it in pairing mode. And then of course it just takes a second, and there it is connected. We'll give it a name. I'm going to call it game room motion, since that's where it's going. Let's see, it's asking for the hub. We're going to skip through that because we don't really need that information, since all we really want is the MAC address. We'll skip through the installation tutorial as well, and we are done. We now have all three new devices added into the SwitchBot app. So now we want to get the MAC addresses for each of these devices, because we obviously need that to set up the NodeMCU in the Arduino IDE. All right, so we could do that from the settings here. You just basically click on the device that you want to see the MAC address for. Then you're going to go to settings, and then you're going to select device info, and it basically will list it right there. And there it is, as you can see. So you do that for each of the three devices, and of course we're going to have to save that somewhere because you're going to need it for the next step. Speaking of that, let's go ahead and move on to that next step and see if we can't get everything set up in the NodeMCU. All right, so here are the steps for getting this NodeMCU all set up. Now you want to make sure that you're using something that has both Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. So I'm not going to go through the entire process, so I'm going to kind of skip down to where we modify the code. Looks like all the way down to step 8. So if you guys would like to see a complete walkthrough of setting up a device like this using the Arduino IDE, let me know in the comments, and I can certainly get a video put together. But here we are in the Arduino IDE. We already have the file added, so we're just going to scroll down to the section that we need to change. For starters, we need to put our Wi-Fi information in, like SSID and password. We also need to add in the information for our MQTT server, so it knows where to send all the information. After that, all that is left is we need to add in the MAC addresses that we just saved earlier for all the new devices that we're wanting to control. So as you can see, they have it broken out into sections for each device type. Let's see, under meter, we're going to add in the MAC address for that meter plus. And of course, once we get that one added in, we'll go down to the section for contact sensors, and we're going to add in that MAC address that we had set up for that contact sensor that we added. And then, of course, lastly, we got the motion sensor. So we'll add that MAC address in there as well. Once we have all the devices added that we want to control, then we are ready to upload this code to our NodeMCU. And again, I'm not going to go through that whole process here. If you want to see that in a video, just let me know. But let's go ahead and move on to the next step, and we will kind of go through getting it set up in Home Assistant. All right, so the way this thing is set up makes it super easy to get it added into Home Assistant because it utilizes the Home Assistant auto discovery for MQTT. So basically, once you get the ESP32 or NodeMCU device configured and have everything uploaded to it through the Arduino IDE with all of your MAC addresses for all of your SwitchBots and everything, when you plug that thing and it comes online and all your SwitchBots are online, then those devices are automatically going to show up in Home Assistant for the most part. So we're going to go look at the MQTT integration here in Home Assistant. And really, the only thing that you might have to do is just kind of do a reload on that integration just to make sure that those devices or that everything with that integration is completely current. But when you do that, of course, we can open up the integration here, and we should be able to see the 3 devices that we just added. We added that contact sensor. Let's go ahead and click on that one. You can see all the information that it's pulling in. So here is the kitchen meter, which is that meter plus device that we added, and you can see here it even shows the humidity and temperature. Everything looks good there. It's already working. If we go back, let's look at the game room motion. So that's that motion sensor that we added, and you can see all the information that it pulls in from MQTT right here. And so this is going to show a ton of information. This is actually really cool what all you're going to get with this. So this thing is awesome. We're already getting all of the devices in. It was that easy once we got that ESP32 device all set up. Let's go ahead and move on to that last step, and we'll just kind of see it in action so we can see that response time and how well that works with these various devices. All right, just to kind of show you the response time and like what it looks like in Home Assistant, I have the 3 main parts of the sensors kind of displayed here in a Home Assistant dashboard. So on the top, we got the humidity and temp sensors from that meter plus sensor. Then we got the motion sensor there, and then at the bottom is the contact sensor. Now I'm starting with the contact sensor here, which I think gives you a pretty good idea of how fast the response time is on this setup. So we will just kind of open and close it a few times here, and you can see that this thing is crazy fast to respond in Home Assistant. So this is pretty awesome. Next up, we will look at the motion sensor, and I'm going to kind of fast forward here because it takes a minute for the detection to enter the clear state. But you can see as soon as I ran my hand across that sensor and it detected motion, Home Assistant would pick it up and displayed it immediately, so that's pretty awesome. And lastly, we have that meter plus sensor, and I just wanted to kind of show you that the temperature and humidity that are displayed on the meter itself are also showing in Home Assistant, so it's at least fairly current. So this just gives you one way that you can get these devices added into Home Assistant without even using a SwitchBot hub, so that is pretty awesome. I'll have the links to these devices as well as SwitchBot's main site in the description below. You're definitely going to want to check that out for yourself. Now remember, this will be a multi-part video, so I'll have a second video coming out very soon with a couple of the SwitchBot cameras and a cool way to get them added into Home Assistant as well. And don't forget to like and subscribe.
As always, I want to thank everybody for donating to my Buy Me a Coffee link. Every little bit helps. If you haven't had a chance, head over to my spring merchandise page and check out all of the Burns home automation merchandise. And if you're looking for the greatest smart home gear, check out Smonet. I'll have a link in the description below. You need to head over to their website and see what deals they currently have running. If you're interested in buying and selling stock or maybe cryptocurrency, check out Robinhood. I'll have a link in the description below for that website as well. And if you sign up with that link, you and I both will get a free share of stock. It's a win-win for both of us. If you like the video, please subscribe to my channel. If you have any questions or comments, hit me up in the comments below. As always, if there are any videos out there you'd like to see that I don't already have out there, let me know in the comments as well, and I'll see if I can't get something put together for you guys. Otherwise, I'll see you guys around.